Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you doing today, my friend? I'm so excited you're here. If you are new to the show, hello, hi. My name is Talia Joy. This is my cozy corner of the internet, or our cozy corner of the internet. And I am a speaker, a podcast host, an author, a mentor, and a teacher of self-growth and personal transformation. Oh, I'm so excited that we are in this episode today. Today, we are tapping into how to work with resistance. This is what we are talking about. First of all, as always, I will define it. Let's bring it down to the ground. What is resistance in general? What are we talking about? But this is for you if you've been feeling stuck or overwhelmed or not clear. You're feeling like this invisible energy between you and what you want, and you're not quite sure. Maybe it's coming through as frustration or procrastination. Maybe you're avoiding things or just not really sure what to do or how it's going to happen. I totally get you. We're going to breathe through it. We're going to talk about it because the overarching motto of my life and my business is grow through what you go through. And we are all going to have times where we feel unsure or blocked or frustrated, but it's really important that we do grow through what we go through and we keep on going. And sometimes there are things coming up that we need to heal or pivot or, switch something up. So today we're going to talk about that and how it's not your fault. We all have resistance, and we're going to talk about kind of how to move through it and not to be stuck in it, and how to not force yourself through it either, and really find that sweet spot in the middle. So I'm just really happy that you're here. And if you want to dive much deeper into this, have the entire framework as a guidebook in your hand, I definitely recommend checking out my book, The Delicate Art of Transformation, because that is really what this is all about. Growing through what you go through, moving forward on your path, manifesting, healing, evolving, and really moving into that life that you're meant for, that life that you see in your mind's eye. So thank you to everybody who has ordered your book, and thank you to everybody who has sent me messages. The love and the support and the reflections back as you've been reading the book have just been so heartwarming, and it means so, so much to me. So thank you for that, and I highly recommend picking it up if you haven't already. If you enjoy my work, it's going to feel like you have the podcast, like you have Talia in your hand, because this book is straight from my heart, straight from my channel, and it's definitely going to help you in your journey. So excited for that. And for all of you that have had your eyes open for the retreat, it has now been announced to the waitlist. Waitlist only. You have an opportunity to jump in first. Oh my goodness, it's so exciting. If you're not on the wait list, you can actually backdoor secretly get in. You can check below to get on the wait list and then get that link, that first opportunity. Otherwise, when it opens up to the public, the price does go up. So we are in the wait list period right now, and we are going to Bali, January 2027. I could not be more excited. This is where spirit meets luxury, where being taken care of meets experience, and I just cannot wait to experience it with you. So jump on the wait list, get into the back door if you're not in there already, because it's not even open to the public yet. So can't wait to see you in that as well. All right, with that, let's dive into today's episode. Take a deep breath. Take a sip of water, drop your shoulders, and let's dive in. Okay, so maybe you've been in the position where you've been going about your day and you know something you want to do or would be important to do, or something that would move you forward. Maybe it's going for a walk or a workout or reaching out to a potential client, or something you know that you quote unquote should do. But instead, you find yourself cleaning your kitchen or scrolling Instagram or reorganizing and dusting all your crystals. I'm not talking from personal experience or anything, but you find yourself doing completely other things. I've shared on the show many times how when I'm on my growth edge, when something is scaring me, I will do anything else. I'm like, oh, let's clean the house. Yeah, let's reorganize all the paperwork that I have in my office. There will be times when I know what I want to do. And again, I know what it feels like I should do, what would be good for me, but I just don't, right? And a lot of us have these with maybe it's taking your vitamins, maybe it's exercise, as I mentioned, maybe it's moving yourself forward in some area of your life. And it just feels like that invisible energy is stopping you. That is resistance. And I'm going to go deeper into other ways how it expresses itself, other ways that it comes up as we go through this episode. But that's the majority, or that's sort of to sum up as a starting point. Resistance is that invisible energy that makes you want to say, I don't know what's in my way. I feel blocked, or I want to do this, but I find myself not doing it, or I tend to self-sabotage, or I'm so unclear, I don't even know what to do, so I'm not doing anything and I'm frustrated. These areas, these little corners of life, this is resistance, pockets of resistance. And most of us were taught, especially in self-growth, love the self-growth industry because it's literally, gotten me where I am here and I am a part of it. And we're often taught, or we deduce from the things that we hear, we're taught that resistance is bad. That if you're in resistance or you're blocked, you're doing something wrong. So you're feeling, you want to make more money, but you feel blocked. That doesn't feel good, right? So in our brain, we're like, this is bad. This sucks. I must be doing something wrong. So from there, we usually try to push through it. We try to find the secret magic plan that's going to, have all our worries go away. We try to hustle through it. We try to discipline. Okay, on Monday, that's it. I'm going no carb, or I'm going to start this new thing, or whatever it is. But honestly, we go headfirst into this panic response plan, and then we start burning out. So again, this is just another scenario how resistance can show up. And I know that I've experienced this endless amounts of times. So then we end up spiritually bypassing when we're like, we just need to push through it. That's just a limiting belief. Or ultimately, I know I'm capable. I just got to do it. This is kind of this spiritual / self-growth bypassing, where we're bypassing what we're truly feeling or what we're truly scared of, just to be positive, or just to be strong, or just to continue moving forward, right? And sometimes we shame ourselves when this comes up. We're like, man, I'm so blocked. I should be there by now. Why don't I know what I'm doing? Why can't I figure it out? I'm not able to do this and they are, or I'll never do it. I'm not strong enough. You get it, right? We all have these inner voices. This is resistance. This is a pocket, a cycle of resistance that we are stuck in. So we're going to completely reframe resistance from being something that is bad, that is wrong, that is something you need to push through, figure out, otherwise get on the other side of quick because you're in the wrong place. That's often what we're thinking. We're going to reframe it from that to understanding resistance, working with it to move through it. And this way that we're going to talk about it today is way kinder to ourselves and to our nervous system. Because if you're feeling frozen or in fear or, frustrated, and then we just say, okay, just do it, like you just got to do it, or you got to do these 10 steps, what's wrong with you? That puts our nervous system into stress. And then again, we feel more shame, we feel pressure, and the whole thing just starts to crumble. So today we're going to do this in a completely different way. And I want to start by saying that resistance is not laziness when you're in, say, procrastination or self-sabotage. A lot of my clients will talk about that. Like, I know I should do this and I find myself doing that. And again, me too. But resistance is not laziness. It's not a lack of discipline or a lack of willpower. It's not you being broken in any way. Resistance, I'm going to talk about it on different levels in this episode, but resistance on a physical level is your nervous system and your subconscious mind trying to keep you safe based on the past, based on your self-concept. I'll dive into this deeper. But resistance is often your nervous system capping, going too much pressure, or what if we fail? Like the emotions get big. The emotions get to feel too much inside. Maybe if you were hurt in the past in love And then say you've been single for a bit, but everyone you meet, you're like, no. And people will be like, why are you sabotaging this? Or, or maybe you're not meeting the right person, or you're not even putting yourself out there because you're in that feeling of you might feel almost stuck. But actually your nervous system is going like, protect yourself. Remember what just happened? You can't trust this person. They're not good enough. They're going to hurt you. That's your nervous system in your brain just trying to keep you safe based on what you've gone through. So this resistance or feeling blocked, it's really nothing you're doing wrong. It's actually your system's literal job. Like your brain's actual job is to survive, is to make sure you survive. So it's not going to go for just the highest potential. It's not going to, as we've talked about a million times on the show, it doesn't like risk. Your brain isn't the part of you that wants to be brave or go out on a limb or try to have faith. Like that's not your brain's area of expertise. Your brain is wired for survival. So it's not wired for your soul's expansion necessarily. It's survival. So when we want to make a change, when we want to grow, when we want to put ourselves out there or make more money or heal the thing or launch the thing, your brain goes like, wait a second, last time you did this, you failed or you got hurt in the example of love or business. I remember the first program I launched that quote unquote failed. I was scared to launch anything for like another year because my brain was like, oh my gosh, this just happened. And that felt humiliating. That felt disappointing. That felt shame-filled. So we're not doing that again, even though it could be a completely different program, something that might be what my audience is asking for, but my brain's like, nuh-uh, remember what just happened, right? So we all have a brain. If you're a human listening to this, you have a brain. Even if you relate to being mostly made of stardust, you still have a brain this time around. And your brain is going to go like, wait a minute. No. And it might be for varying reasons. You're going on a health journey. It might be your self-concept that's going, you're not someone who works out. Or maybe you're going for love again, as I said, and your brain is going, wait a minute, you could get hurt. It might be you're looking for friendships, but your brain's like, you can't trust other women or other friends, or you're an outsider. There's lots of different things that our brains, how do I say this? Our narratives may all be a little bit different. Your brain, the thing it's whispering, going, you're not this, you're too much that. That's all going to vary a little bit person to person. But what is causing the resistance is the same through all of us. It's our brain really saying, no, we're going to freeze up because there's a risk here. We have fear, right? It's like the overprotective bodyguard that's just not letting anything happen to you that could cause any risk. So let's just take a breath that if you're feeling resistance, that's just evidence you have a brain. There's nothing wrong with you. No matter if you're like, no, Talia, but really, I've been stuck for 5 years or I've been doing this. I'm still going to say you're doing a great job. And it's probably your nervous system that has a big part in why you feel stuck. So I'm going to talk about the layers of resistance because I just tapped on the nervous system, but I want to kind of break it down even more. So there's mental resistance. And this is like pretty normal all of these are normal, but almost all of us just have this. It's our brain that goes, I'll do it later. I'm not ready. I need one more course, one more certification, one more sign in order to move forward. Do some of you relate to that? The mental resistance goes, who are you to do this? Or no one's going to buy. Or after my quote unquote failed program, my mental resistance was like, you cannot put yourself out there again. The same thing's just going to happen again. Nobody's going to buy. It's going to be a big waste of time. So cognitively, your brain has neural pathways, which a lot of you have heard me talk about. You, I'm sure, know just from your own self-growth and all that. You've probably heard about this. But your brain has neural pathways, literally highways built by repetition. And it's highways of thoughts. It's all the things that your brain, I'm sure neural pathways are probably more than just thoughts, but in this context, all of the old identity the old identity pathways are paved in your brain. So it's like what you think about yourself, what you think about life, your automatic actions, what you reach for, how you react, everything you've been through. All of this is registered in your brain, and there are neural pathways that connect things like highways. Once you think things of yourself like, oh, I'm lazy, or, oh, I don't commit, or, oh, I always sabotage, then you're going to have a well-grooved neural pathway in your brain that says, I'm lazy. So whenever something bumps up against that or threatens that, like if I'm saying, okay, I want you to do this 22-day thing and it's going to require this many minutes per day, and you go like, oh, I'm not someone who can do that. So what I'm asking of you, hey, do this 22-day thing, that's going to come up against the well-grooved neural pathway that says, I'm not someone who follows through, or something like that. I'm not someone who's committed. So we have to start to be aware that our thoughts are just thoughts, and you don't have to believe everything you think. Your brain is doing its thing. So I used to have an eating disorder, as a lot of you know, and I've always struggled in my body. And so from the time I was about 7, I'm going to use the F word just to warn you, but the phrase I'm fat, or the identity of I'm fat, was so ingrained in my brain that even in my 20s, when I lost like 60 pounds, I had, I guess they call it like body dysmorphia, where I couldn't register what size I was. I would look in a mirror and I'd kind of look small and be like, what? But then in the same way, I would turn around and I'd look huge. And I could never tell, am I small or am I huge? And it's because I had such a well-grooved neural pathway identity of I am fat, that once life was challenging that, whether it's learning to love myself, learning to not shame myself, or I physically lost weight and things changed, my brain was like, we can't just create this new neural pathway out of nowhere. We have such a well-grooved old one. So why I'm saying this is, as you are upgrading your new identity and you're becoming somebody who shows up for themselves, who invests in themselves, or who moves their body regularly, or who is starting a business or is expanding into the next level of income and leadership in your business, no matter what you're doing, as you expand into that next level, your brain experiences cognitive dissonance, as I've talked about several times on the show. And that's a clash between who you've been and who you're becoming. And your brain will try to reroute you back to what's familiar. So it's like your subconscious GPS is like, no, we're going back here, right? Like if you say to yourself, and part of your identity is, I can't work out in the morning. And then someone goes, okay, we're going to get you in shape, and it's going to involve 6 a.m. workouts right away, right? That challenges what you think of yourself, what you think you're capable of, what you prefer, what kind of person you are, morning person, etc. But if you had to just do it for some reason, that's the only time you could get it in, or, it was some weird situation where, like, if you don't work out, someone you love is going to be hurt, and you just had to, you'd have the first few mornings of like, oh, but you would get into a new groove. You would start to carve a new path of habits and in your brain that it then becomes less hard to do it every day. So said a different way, has there ever been a time where you've started a new habit, or you've had to do something, maybe it's get up early for a new job, and for the first little bit, it's like, right? But then after not very long, it becomes part of the routine. You start adjusting. And then if it's something like going for walks every day, then soon you start to look forward to it. And then after a little bit, you feel weird if you don't have a walk, or that job, you start to adjust and you start to go to bed a little bit earlier. And after a couple months, you're getting up at 6 a.m. and it's not as big of a deal as it was. So this is very much like how our brain works and the thoughts that we think. We have to repave these neural pathways. So as we start to feel resistance, a story's going to come up, right? It's like, I don't know what to do. I'm never going to do it. I'm not somebody who gets healthy. I'm not someone who follows through. Whatever's coming up, even if you're just saying, I don't know my next step, so I'm not taking action, but it's been like this for a while. Even just that, I don't know, I'm confused. That may be a disempowering narrative in your mind of like, I don't know, someone has to tell me, or like, not taking responsibility. And I'm not shaming anyone. I'm not blaming. I'm saying these are the things I decode in myself when I notice that I'm unclear for like a year and not taking action. I'm like, okay, wait, there's something else going on in here. So again, resistance is not bad. It's telling us something. So we just went through the mental part of it, right? The neural pathways, the cognitive dissonance, that clash in our identity and in our thoughts and what we think of ourselves. And then there's also the physical and the somatic resistance, as I talked about in the beginning, where it's in the nervous system. And we can have all of these layers going on. We could have one more than the other. It's, most likely we're going to have a bit of each. But the physical shows up as a tight chest. It shows up as feeling really fatigued or frozen when you go to take action. It could show up as feeling numb. It could show up as tension in our jaw, in our hips, in our belly. And this is where your body keeps the score, if any of you have read that book. And your somatic resistance, your nervous system resistance, is where it comes in when, I'm just trying to think of the right words to say how to describe it, when your body remembers what was dangerous or what went wrong, even when your conscious mind doesn't. So I've had times where I've gone back to a town that I lived in and to a key place where I was really bullied, and my body felt sick. My mind actually didn't even remember that I was in that neighborhood. And I thought for a minute, I was like, did I eat like a bad, was it the chicken and the wrap I ate for lunch? Because like, I don't feel good. My body was remembering that traumatic place. Or maybe when, I go to do a speaking gig and my body starts freezing up and it's remembering, being bullied or being outcast. So it's very nuanced. We're all going to have a different story, but resistance in our body and in our nervous system shows up like that, feeling frozen, feeling numb or wanting to numb out, that tiredness, that fogginess. And sometimes it's tight chest, anxiety, racing heart, something like that. And these things are stopping us. It's our body saying, hang on, slow down. We need safety before expansion. We are not equipped to handle it. It's just like the tree. If the roots are too small, it can only grow so high. So it's not a shame thing. It's actually like, wait a minute, we need sturdiness and steadiness and grounding and safety before we branch up. Because you are made for the branching. You are made for the full expression of who you are. But we have to bring our body along with us, upgrading our body, and by that I mean like our nervous system and learning to create safety as we're scared. So our body in this place is usually saying, hang on, before you just try to shove a bunch of another 5 things we got to do, we actually need safety. We need to come home first. And that is not weakness. That's actually wisdom as you go through your expansion. Because as you expand, as you evolve, you become more grounded. You realize that success is not just all or nothing, and it's not just all out there and flashy. It's looking after yourself inside. It's nurturing your environment and your relationships, and from the ground up, creating a life that you love. It's not just big metrics. It's not just the dollar sign or the income that determines your success. It's how you are being. It's how you feel in your mind. It's the peace you have in your heart that, yes, ripples into the abundance, ripples into that health, that joy from inside. So if you're experiencing physical resistance, and this is a lot of what my clients are dealing with, they think it's a lack of willpower or a lack of motivation, but often it's somatic. And when we practice getting safe first and moving forward, everything changes. So that's a way that we can definitely be experiencing resistance. And then the next one I want to talk about, because it wouldn't be a Talia episode without talking about it, is the spiritual and soul resistance. So sometimes there is something really deep going on a soul level, and some people aren't aware of it. They're not interested in it, blah, 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 but you're here, so you obviously are. And this resistance shows up when we're on the edge of a massive expansion in our self-growth, in our human journey this time, like a big, not just a little expansion in our daily life. Like we're talking a growth expansion, which ripples into soul. Like we're healing. We are learning to be seen, to step into our light, to release some of the big heaviness that has held us back in our whole life this far. Maybe it's about shedding those old identities and stepping more into that highest self energy. When your soul is ready to grow and sprint, but again, your nervous system is like, hi, we're still integrating. Sometimes that resistance is, it comes up as we are being asked to practice what we've been learning. So an example of this to make it more clear or succinct, I, on a soul level in this lifetime, am learning unconditional love and healing my abandonment wound. That is a human journey thing this time, but is also on a deeper level. It's a soul thing. It's a generational thing. I've been through it in other lifetimes. It's a big one. So sometimes as I'm stepping into, say, hosting retreats, as I've mentioned, I feel all this like panicky resistance of like, oh my God, this is so big. Part of that is because I'm healing, I'm stepping into something so much bigger within myself, and I'm stepping through the trauma of being bullied, of not belonging, of being abandoned, of being alone. So sometimes hidden resistance comes up and it looks like procrastination, or it looks like, oh, I was going to do this today, but like it takes me like a month longer than what it could take me, because inside I'm really being asked to practice loving myself, showing up for myself, stepping through this pocket of resistance with healing tools, stepping into my next version, my massive expansion of being seen, of being included, of creating, a gathering of beautiful souls together, of showing up as I truly am. These things are scary for me in my body and also on a soul level. So I'm healing through these things. So sometimes it takes a little bit of extra time because a lot of what is tapped on is really big. Like it feels so scary. If I don't actively continue moving forward, I'll just pause until I'm quote unquote ready because I just don't feel ready. So if that makes sense, it's like it's so deep that it feels like exciting and scary. That is a soul thing. So if what you're doing is asking you to, really apply the healing tools you've learned in the last few years, really apply that deeper awareness, it's often a soul thing. So the resistance that we experience can show up in many different ways. As I'm talking about, it can show up in our mind. I'll do it later. I'm not ready. Who am I? It can show up physically where we have a tight chest, we feel frozen. And it can show up spiritually where it's asking you to step into your gifts, to step into leadership, to be seen, to go through your next level of massive transformation. And either way, it's understandable that sometimes we do some weaving in and out because we're working through things. And so what I want you to do as we start to wrap up this episode, when you are experiencing resistance, when you're at an edge, maybe it feels like a roadblock, maybe it feels, as all the examples we're talking about, like you're frozen or you just don't know what to do, I want you to just stop for a second and practice what I'm going to go through. I'll put a short form of this in the show notes so you can refer back to it. But step one, just be aware, just notice it. Okay, instead of trying to push and just go, I got to figure this out, and like day-to-day reaction, just stop and take a breath and ask yourself, what is this resistance coming up in respect to? So is it around your business? Is it around your health? Is it around moving forward? Do you just want to say like everything in my life? No matter what the answer is, it's fine. So where is this resistance showing up? What area of life? And then just gently asking and inquiring, where do I feel this? Does it feel like it's in my mind, my body, my soul, maybe all of the above? And there's no judgment, no right or wrong, just curiosity. And then this is what I do when I start to identify like, ooh, this body, resistance feels like it's in all of them. It's in my mind. My body feels tense. It feels like a big thing I'm working through. And I, again, just keep breathing and kind of stop and come to center. And I ask myself, what is this stopping me from doing? And there's just a few questions that through these questions with gentle answers, I start seeing it a little bit different. So what is this stopping me from doing? And I might say, hosting my retreat, or, being vulnerable, being seen, whatever it is. And what might be under that? And then what might I be actually afraid of? What's bigger here? And then what am I afraid of happening? And what would that mean about me? This is where we start to get to the good stuff. So for me, what am I afraid of happening? Say it's the retreat. Well, I'm afraid of nobody signing up. What would that mean about me? Then we go, ooh, because that is where it taps on being excluded, bullied, being weird, being different, things not working out for me, that type of thing. I'm like, ooh, what would that mean about me? And that's where it starts to get juicy. So sometimes we're afraid of failure. Sometimes we're afraid of success. Sometimes we're afraid of outgrowing people, of outshining people, of turning into this quote unquote different version of ourselves. And sometimes we're just afraid of what it would mean about ourselves if we did fail. So as we start to uncode or decode this, uncover this, we notice that resistance has a story. And as you start to uncover that story, we bring in compassion, because you cannot shame your nervous system into expansion. You cannot force yourself into growth. Healing responds to safety. Growth responds to gentleness. So if I get to my story and I say, yeah, if nobody signed up, it would mean I'm an outsider, I'm a loser, nobody cares, I'm alone, whatever it is. And then I breathe through that and I go, I have compassion for myself, that there's a part of me that feels that a part of me is scared of that. I have compassion for that. And that right there starts to soften. We go, oh. And then often we can apply the other stuff we know of like, okay, well, if it didn't happen, it doesn't actually mean that. We can kind of go into that more reasoning stuff. But first we need to give ourselves that compassion. And then as we're ready, we implement an action. And this is where the neuroplasticity comes in, creating new pathways, small, repeated, safe actions, safe experiences. So instead of asking ourselves to quantum leap overnight or to do all the things tomorrow, just do it, we ask ourselves, what's a 5% stretch? What is one thing that we can do that feels safe, that feels within reach? That feels like, okay, I could do that. I could take a 10-minute walk, or I could just start working on the sales page of the retreat, or I could just take one step to reach out to that person. And then we pause, we go for a walk, we reintegrate, and we continue to do that. We don't rewire our nervous system with a lightning bolt. It just doesn't work. Like forcing something creates more trauma. More heavy hitting action, ego, just do it, creates more trauma. We rewire ourselves and we actually move forward with gentle repetition and grounding. We ground down and rise up. We ground down and rise up. And we do that over and over. So resistance isn't here to block you. It's here to teach you. It's here to show you you're at a growth edge. Congratulations. That's a good thing. Every trigger is information. Every block is actually, as I love to say, every roadblock is a detour in the right direction. Every slowdown is an invitation to integrate. Every freeze is an invitation to breathe. So we don't bypass resistance. We don't force resistance. We metabolize it into wisdom. We alchemize it into wisdom. So I'm going to leave you with a question. And I want you to ask yourself, what is the highest path I can take from here right now? Not the hardest, Not the way straight up the mountain, even if there's no trail. Not even the most productive. The highest path. The gentlest path. Is it drinking water? Is it going for a walk? Is it doing a nervous system exercise, texting a friend, going to yoga? Maybe it is taking a big, bold action. Maybe it's hugging yourself right now, wrapping your arms around yourself. The highest path, the gentlest, most aligned incremental action is going to be that most potent next step. That is the thing that moves us out of here. So your soul may be ready to sprint. Your mind might be like, I'm effing ready, put me in the ring, right? But your nervous system may need some help. Or maybe your soul is ready, but your mind, those looping thoughts, may need a little bit of coaxing, a little bit of awareness, because our body can be scared even when we want to move forward. And our body deserves that respect. That fear is coming from trauma or just being afraid because like this means a lot. I want to succeed. It would suck to fail. And all of that is totally understandable. So alignment isn't force. Alignment is cooperation with your spirit and your body, your biology. True wisdom, true alignment is the cooperation between your spirit and your body. Not forgetting the body just to go into the big dreams or to try to force yourself into something. We need to bring all parts of us along in the journey. So I hope that this resonated with you today. It's an opportunity to grow through what you go through. And as I mentioned, this entire framework and so much more is in the book, The Delicate Art of Transformation, because it is more about remembering who you truly are and sinking into that now, using your tools now, regulating yourself now. It's more about that than about the next big, bold 100% action. And trust me, when you feel grounded, when you feel sturdy, you will absolutely have those days, those weeks, those months where you're in warrior energy, where you're like taking the bold action and doing the big thing. It's not that we never do that. It's just we have to have the roots to sustain the branches and the flowers and the fruits that are coming in your life. Okay, I hope that this resonated with you. You can check the links in the show notes for all the things I mentioned, the book, the retreats, and other things like one-on-one mentorship if you're feeling guided to that right now. I'm so excited that you were here and I'm so happy for you. So take a breath and let it out and take one more, breathing into the area you feel resistance in your body right now. And let it go. All right, I will see you in the next episode.